Graph linear equations by plotting points. I think this is one of the most fundamental and important things you can do as a math student is learn how to graph by plotting points. There's usually tips and tricks for every type of function to graph, but if you know how to plot points, you can do anything. So let's jump in. First, we're graphing linear equations. Linear means line. So when you plot these points, if they don't make a straight line, you've made a mistake. And when we talk about points, these are the ordered pairs, right? X and Y. We need at least 3. The reason is any 2 points you draw can be a straight line. That doesn't mean your line is correct. So if you graph 3 points and they're in a straight line, you can be pretty sure you're right. But if you plot 3 points and they're not in a straight line, one of them is wrong. Okay, so let's jump in. Let's do this. We are going to graph y equals 2x minus 4 by plotting points. Now, I recommend doing this by creating a table, okay? Sometimes some people call it a T-chart. Some people call it an XY table. Call it whatever you want. But you'll notice that X and Y, right, they make up our ordered pairs. So what we're going to do is we're just going to choose values. You can choose any values you want. I like to stick with a negative value as value of 0 and a value of 1. Now you'll notice I chose 3 values for X. You can pick any values you want for either X or Y. The reason in this case I'm choosing values for X is because X is in the middle of all of the stuff, right? So what we're going to do here for the first one, when X is negative 1, I'm going to say, okay, Y equals 2, but instead of X, I'm going to substitute in negative 1. And then I simplify. So 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, and negative 2 times 4 is negative 6. That means my Y value is negative 6. And then I do that again for the next one, where X is 0. So I say Y equals 2 times 0 minus 4. Well, what's 2 times 0? 0. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. And then lastly, I do 2 times 1 minus 4, and 2 minus 4 is negative 2. So now I have my 3 ordered pairs. So I have negative 1, 6, 0, negative 4, and 1, negative 2. And I put them on my line. So negative 1, negative 6 is down here almost off my screen. 0, negative 4 is on the y-axis, and 1, negative 2. Look at my 3 dots. They are in order. If you do 3 points and they're off your graph, pick different points, right? My shaky hand gives me a somewhat straight line, and I have graphed that. Let's do another one with a fraction, okay? So, again, we make our T-chart. And again, X is in the middle of the stuff, so I want to pick values of X. Now, here's the thing when you're dealing with fractions. When you're looking at the idea of 1/2 times X, we want to pick values of X that divide by 2. Because then when I multiply by 1/2, I'm really just cutting that number literally in half. Okay? So again, I'm going to pick a negative number. I'm going to pick 0 because multiplying by 0 is the easiest thing in the whole world. And I'll pick a positive 2. Okay, so let's plug it in. I've got 1/2 times negative 2 plus 1. Okay, well, as I mentioned, when we take negative 1/2 times negative 2, just to draw this one out to see it, my 2's cancel out and I'm left with just negative 1. Literally, I cut that in half. So negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Okay, so now I'm taking 1/2 times 0 plus 1. Well, anything times 0 is just 0. I'm left with 1. And then last but not least, 1/2 times 2 plus 1. Again, I'm cutting 2 in half, and I get 1 plus 1, whoops, is 2. Okay, so my points, negative 2, 0, 0, 1, and 2, 2. All right, well, negative 2, 0 is on my x-axis. 0, 1 is on my y-axis, and 2, 2 is in quadrant 1. So once again, you can see my 3 points are in a straight line. Now, I want to do a challenge one here where the x and the y are on the same side. Because if you have this, right, we call this being in standard form. I always think the easiest way to say multiplying by 0 is the easiest. I'm going to put 0 in for x and 0 in for y and just see what it gets me. I'm going to pick a third point, but I'm going to start here. Okay, so first, I'm starting with x is 0. So 2 times 0 plus 3y equals 6. Well, we already know that anything times 0 is 0. So I'm really just solving 3y equals 6. I divide both sides by 3, and y is 2. Okay, so now let's go to y is 0. So I have 2x plus 3 times 0 equals 6. Once again, anything times 0 is 0, so I'm really left with just 2x equals 6. I divide both sides by 2, and I know my x value is 3. Okay, now you can choose anything you want for the other number. I usually say, okay, I have an x value of 3. I'm just going to make my other x value -3. I always take the opposite sign of whatever that is, just so I have a good representation on my graph. Okay, so now I'm going to take 2 times -3 plus 3y equals 6. Well, 2 times -3 is -6 plus 3y equals 6. I'm going to add 6 to both sides to get the 3y by itself. So 3y equals 12. Divide both sides by 3, and my y value is 4. All right, so I have 3 points, 0, 2, 3, 0, and -3, 4. Okay, let's graph them. 0, 2 is on my y-axis. 3, 0 is on my x-axis. And then -3, 4 is in quadrant 2. And once again, you can see my 3 points give me a straight line, and there's my graph. So that's hopefully helpful of how you can use a T-chart to find your points and graph your line.